Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Today I'll be talking about the general procedures in media planning. Media planning follows a structured sequential process that ensures every decision is grounded in research and aligned with campaign objectives. Each stage builds upon the previous one, creating a logical pathway from audience insight to measurable outcomes. Firstly, we have the market analysis. Research the target audience, competitive landscape, and market conditions. The second stage is to set objectives by defining measurable goals for reach, frequency, and awareness. Third stage is to determine the budget, allocate financial resources using established budgeting methods. Fourth stage is strategy development, select the media mix, geographic focus, and target market emphasis. Fifth stage, media scheduling, determine timing, patterns, continuity, flighting, or pulsing. Sixth stage is evaluation, track performance, analyze ROI, and make optimization adjustments. Setting media objectives. Once the market analysis is complete, planners must establish clear, measurable media objectives. These objectives provide direction for the entire media plan and serve as benchmarks against which campaign performance will be evaluated. The percentage of the target audience exposed to the message at least once during a defined period is known as reach. Frequency, the average number of times each person in the target audience is exposed to the message. GRP, gross rating points, a combined measure of total campaign weight, reach times frequency. Awareness goals, specific brand or message awareness targets tied to business outcomes. So key metrics in media planning. Understanding core media metrics is essential for every media planner, and these numbers form the language of the industry and drive critical decisions about budget allocation, channel selection, and campaign optimization. So when you talk about reach, the percent of target audience exposed to the ad at least once, a reach of 60% means 60 out of every 100 target consumers saw the advertisement. Frequency, the average number of exposures per person reached, so higher frequency reinforces the message, but people may get tired. It risks ad fatigue or tired of the advertisement. GRP, reach times frequency, gross rating points, measures total advertising weight delivered across a campaign. CPM, cost per thousand impressions, calculated as total costs divided by total impressions times 1000, enables cost comparison across media. So quick calculation, GRP calculation, given the reach is 60%, frequency is 3, so GRP is the reach times the frequency. So GRP equals 60 times 3, which is 180 GRPs. So it means that your advertisements delivered 180 impressions per 100 people in your target audience. So ads were seen 180 times per 100 people. So this means the campaign delivers 180 gross rating points of total advertising weight. So the cost per thousand formula, cost per thousand equals total ad cost over total impressions times 1000. So if a campaign costs 10,000 and delivers 2 million impressions, so it means that it would be $10,000 divided by 2 million times 1000, which would give us a $5 CPM. This means that the advertiser pays $5 for every 1,000 people who see the ad, which is useful for comparing media efficiency. Budget determination. How much should you spend on media? Budget determination is one of the most critical and debated decisions in the media planning process. Three primary methods guide this decision, each with distinct advantages and limitations. So percentage of sales, you allocate a fixed percentage of past or projected sales revenue to the advertising budget. Simple, but can be self-defeating during downturns when spending should increase. So for example, 5% of sales becomes the ad budget. So it's not only the media. Yeah, when we talk about ad budget, there is the media budget, there's also the advertising production budget, agency budget, etc. Okay, so objective task method defines specific objectives, identifies the tasks needed to achieve them, and then calculates the cost. The most strategic approach, but also the most complex approach out of all the budgeting techniques. Third is competitive parity, where you match competitor spending levels to maintain share of voice. So it's useful as a benchmark, but doesn't account for differing campaign goals or efficiencies. Yeah, so if you are comparing competitive spending level and you want to match this or even exceed it, isn't it, right? So that you would get a higher share of voice. Useful as a benchmark, yeah, but what if you want to do something different? So it's a bit difficult. So when you talk about calculations per se, percentage of sales, 5% of sales is the ad budget, right? 60 to 80% becomes the media budget, 20 to 40% are the ad costs. Objective task method, there are several steps. Step 1, you set the objective. So you want to reach 60% of the audience with a frequency of 3. Yeah, calculate GRP. So GRP is calculated by timesing 60, multiplying 60 and 3. Yeah, so you get 180 GRP or impressions, and then you estimate the cost per GRP, which is 200 ringgit, for example, per GRP. So per TV slot it costs 10,000 ringgit, and then you divide that by 50 GRP because the GRP for that particular slot is 50, right? Equivalent to 50% of the audience watch the ad in that particular slot, so it becomes 200. And then what happens is you calculate, so that's how you get the 200 ringgit per GRP, okay, in step 3. And step 4, calculate the media budget. So it means that you want to reach 180 GRP, you have to times by 200 ringgit, which gives you 36,000 ringgit, right? So let's say per slot is 10,000 ringgit, so you're estimating about 4 slots to meet the objective. So estimation in industry reports can be used to determine what the competitors' investment is in terms of their advertising budget, right? So you can estimate as well. So if a particular brand always on TV, Instagram, and YouTube, so it's got a higher budget compared to another brand that only uses Instagram, so it has a lower budget in terms of its advertising budget. So what is it that you want to use, isn't it? You want to be the same with brand A or brand B, or I would prefer to even exceed if you have the budget. If you have the money, why not, isn't it, right? Okay, media strategy development. With objectives set and budget allocated, the media planner develops the actual strategy, the blueprint that guides all tactical decisions. Media strategy owners have media strategy answers 3 fundamental questions. 1 is the target market focus. Who are we trying to reach? Define the primary and secondary audiences, their media habits, and the best moments to connect with them. Geographic emphasis, where should we concentrate? Should it be a national campaign all over Malaysia? Should it only be in Selangor or the East Coast? Or should it be specific, right, to being hyper local, meaning to say you put ads within 5 kilometers of the store, right? Or you put it in a mall, right? So the geographic strategy shapes media selection. Media makes decisions which combination of channels will best achieve our objectives. So which combination of media vehicles basically will best, sometimes they're known as media channels, will best achieve our objectives, balance reach versus frequency, broad versus niche, and traditional versus digital platforms. So do you want to get a high reach, a broad reach? and a greater frequency. You want to go for basically mass market. We talk about broad, niche, more targeted, yeah, just gym goers, and traditional, as you know, versus digital platforms. So media scheduling patterns. Scheduling determines when and how often ads appear over the campaign period. So the three primary scheduling strategies each serve different campaign needs and product categories. One is continuity. So ads run steadily throughout the campaign period without gaps. Best for frequently purchased products, for example, toothpaste, groceries, which people need all the time, that need constant top of mind awareness, daily or weekly. So continuity can be daily or weekly. Flighting means that the ads run in bursts with periods of no advertising in between, ideal for seasonal products, for example, Eid, right? Travel during the summer holiday, you travel, so you want to have travel ads, isn't it? Yeah, travel agencies want to advertise their ads. Back to school, of course, back to school, stationery, uniforms, and whatnot. So, or when budgets are limited, so concentrate spend during peak periods. So you have weekly or monthly alternate ads. Pulsing, a hybrid approach combining continuous low-level advertising with periodic bursts of heavy activity, maintains baseline awareness while intensifying during key selling periods. Low level for a few weeks, high level, and then low level again. So this basically means that usually it's low level and then suddenly you have bursts of high level, right? You have high level sort of intensified, heavier advertising exposure. Okay, so products always needed, but increase with heavy ads, heavy use of ads. Yeah, so for example, fast food, soda, they would benefit from this. Monitoring and evaluation. The final stage of media planning is ongoing performance monitoring and evaluation. No media plan is truly complete until its effectiveness has been measured and learnings have been captured for future optimization. So performance tracking, you monitor KPIs like impressions, click-through rates, conversions, and brand lift in real time across all channels shown by Medium. Yeah, you can use Meta Ads Manager. Digital analytics, leverage tools like Google Analytics, social dashboards, and attribution platforms for granular or detailed insights. ROI, calculate return on advertising spend to determine which channels and placements delivered the best value. So if 1,000 ringgit was spent on IG ads, Instagram ads, you earned 5,000 ringgit. So 5,000 divided by 1,000 equals to an ROAS of 5. So it means for every 1 ringgit you spent, you earn 5 ringgit back, right? So which is good. Optimization adjustments, reallocate budgets if something, if sales is a bit slow, shift creative or modify targeting based on in-flight performance data. Principles for selecting media vehicles. Key selection principles: choosing the right media vehicle, the specific TV show, website, magazine, or social platform is where strategy becomes tactical execution. 4 core principles guide this critical decision-making process. So audience match. Does this vehicle's audience align with our target demographic and psychographic profile? The tighter the overlap, the less waste, isn't it, right? So obviously, if research says that Instagram is used by Gen Zs, then this is what you should use, isn't it, right? So cost efficiency, what is the cost per thousand or cost per action? Compare vehicles on a like-for-like basis to maximize budget impact. Look at Google Ads, Meta Ads Manager, or historical data for this information. Yeah. Credibility, does the platform enhance or diminish the brand's reputation? Context and trust matter. Ads inherit the credibility of their surroundings. So, obviously, sensational newspapers, perhaps, yeah, should not be used for more serious items, isn't it? Yeah, for more serious items, serious products that do not want to inherit, right, the sensationalism as part of which is part of the context of the advertisement, the ambiance, the environment, right, as well. Engagement, how actively does the audience engage with the vehicle? Higher engagement typically correlates with stronger ad recall and response. So engagement metrics, you can get these on Meta Ads Manager, TikTok Ads Manager, and so forth. Reach and frequency trade-off. One of the most fundamental strategic tensions in media planning is the trade-off between reach and frequency. With any given budget, increasing one typically means decreasing the other. So the right balance depends entirely on campaign objectives. So the goal, if your goal is to build broad awareness quickly, yeah, so new product launches, brand repositioning, short window events, or promotions, simple, easily understood messages, then you want to maximize reach. Right? Maximizing frequency, you want to reinforce and persuade. So complex messages needing repetition, competitive markets with high clutter, direct response campaigns, building deep brand associations, right? So you want to convey complex messages and they need repetition. So the frequency will increase, yeah? Competitive markets with high clutter. Perhaps you want to increase because there's just a lot, you're competing with a lot of messages coming from your competitors, right? So direct response campaigns, you want people to purchase as a result of watching your ads. Building deep brand associations, so you want to associate your brands with certain symbols, isn't it? Yeah. So rule of thumb, most research suggests a minimum of 3 exposures is needed for a message to register. This is known as the effective frequency threshold. So media credibility and context. The context in which an advertisement appears significantly impacts how consumers perceive the message and the brand. Ads placed alongside trusted high-quality content benefit from a halo effect. The credibility of the vehicle transfers to the advertiser. So conversely, appearing next to the controversial, low quality or brand unsafe content can cause serious reputational damage. Yeah, this is why brand safety has become a critical concern in programmatic digital advertising, where automated placements can sometimes land as undesirable contents in context. So trust factor, consumers trust ads more when they appear in credible media environments. Platform reputation, premium publishers command higher CPMs because their audiences are more receptive. So content alignment, ads that match the editorial context of the vehicle see higher engagement and recall. So you have, for instance, more trustworthy news sites, isn't it? And then unknown blogs, which are not as trustworthy. Next, we have problems in media planning. Even the most well-designed media plans face real-world challenges, from shrinking budgets to fragmented audiences. These obstacles demand creative problem-solving and continuous adaptation. Budget constraints, budget limitations are perhaps the most universal challenge in media planning, with media costs rising, particularly in digital channels where competition for premium inventory is intensifying. Planners must constantly make difficult trade-offs between reach, frequency, and creative quality. Limited financial resources force planners to prioritize ruthlessly. This often means choosing between fewer high-impact placements or more frequent lower-cost exposures. The key is ensuring that every dollar spent delivers maximum strategic value, which requires sophisticated analysis and the willingness to cut underperforming channels, right? So key insight, the objective task budgeting method helps planners defend their budget requests by linking spend directly to measurable goals. Audience fragmentation. The explosion of media channels has shattered the mass audience at once, made media planning relatively straightforward. Today's consumers spread their attention across dozens of platforms, devices, and content sources, making it increasingly difficult to achieve the broad reach that traditional campaigns relied upon. Okay, so you have mobile apps, gaming and metaverse, websites and blogs, streaming services, podcasts, social platforms or social media platforms. And audiences now switch fluidly, isn't it, between these platforms, often at the same time. So this platform switching reduces mass reach and forces planners to adopt multi-channel strategies that are more complex and costly to execute. So games, you have Fortnite, Roblox, PUBG that have billboard ads, isn't it, right? And other forms of promotions. The metaverse is a virtual digital world where people interact, work, play, and socialize using avatars. So Decentraland virtual world is a new way to advertise. This is basically like a virtual world that provides benefits such as interactive brand engagement, digital asset ownership, global reach, and new revenue opportunities in a virtual environment, and social media platforms, also known as social platforms. So all of these provide some forms of advertising. Media clutter and ad avoidance. Consumers today are bombarded with thousands of advertising messages daily, creating an environment of extreme clutter. In response, audiences have developed sophisticated avoidance behaviors that undermine campaign effectiveness. So 42% of global internet users employ ad blocking software. 65% of viewers skip video ads at the first opportunity. 5K plus average number of advertising messages a consumer encounters each day, isn't it? Yeah, so that should be 5,000 plus. Yeah, daily exposure to ads. So to bring through the clutter, planners must invest in creative excellence, relevant targeting, and non-intrusive formats like native advertising, like sponsored content that look like they look like articles, like advertorials and whatnot, right? And but they are not. And branded content like entertaining TikTok videos that promote or provide genuine value to the audience. Measurement difficulties. As media consumption becomes more fragmented across platforms and devices, accurately measuring campaign performance has become one of the industry's greatest challenges, and several interrelated issues compound the problem. You have cross-platform attribution. Consumers interact with brands across multiple touch points before converting, right? So they would be in touch with the ads with any brand communication, yeah, and they need to be in touch. It's at touch points. They need to be in contact with all of these different brand communications, brand messages before converting. Accurately attributing credit to each channel in the customer journey remains an unresolved challenge, with different models yielding different conclusions. So each channel, each media vehicle would have, different conclusions, different results. Data reliability. Not all data sources are equally trustworthy. Discrepancies between platform reported metrics and third-party verification tools. So you have Google Analytics Double Verify, for example, which are third-party verification tools. Yeah, but the metrics that are reported by Google Ads, yeah, as you put the ads on, yeah, are the ones that are more platform reported metrics. Yeah, they would provide platform. It would provide platform reported metrics. Create uncertainty. They create uncertainty about true campaign performance. Yeah. Digital fraud, bot traffic. You have fake users, click farms. People are paid to click, and impression fraud, ads shown but not seen by the real person. Inflate digital advertising metrics artificially. So industry estimates suggest billions of dollars are wasted annually on fraudulent inventory. Ethical and transparency issues. So you have basically media planning becomes increasingly data-driven. Ethical considerations have moved to the forefront, and planners must navigate a complex landscape of privacy regulations, disclosure requirements, and accountability standards. Data privacy concerns, regulations like GDPR and Malaysia's PDPA restrict how consumer data can be collected and used for targeting, because there are laws with regards to data protection, right? So GDPR is related to the EU, and Malaysia has its own law called the PDPA for short. So planners must balance personalization with privacy rights. Influencer disclosure. Paid partnerships between brands and influencers must be transparently disclosed. Failure to do so erodes consumer trust and may violate advertising standards. Misleading metrics like impressions or follower counts can overstate actual campaign impact, and planners must demand meaningful, verified performance indicators. Okay, so that's the end, and these are the different references. Thank you.